Hey there, welcome to the show. My dear friend and client, Adri, would like to share her story, and I encourage her to do this because she is so inspirational. She has overcome trauma from ritual abuse when she was younger, and her family was in that, but she doesn't identify with being a survivor of SRA, which satanic ritual abuse, because she's always seeking the light and she's always wanting to define herself by who Jesus says she is. And so it's an amazing story and inspiration that will touch you and show you like a different way to look at things, a different way to look at the world. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She has, because of all of the trauma that they created around her colon and uterus and bladder and all of that. There's a tumor that's all entwined and everything is all mixed up. There's so much scar tissue and everything in there that it created a cancer. But anyway, she is just a delight, and you'll love her story. She is loved by thousands of people around the globe, and you're going to love her too. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Hello there. Welcome to Spirit Center Business. I'm Bralynn Newby, your host, and I'm here again with Adri. This is part 3. So if you missed part 1 and 2, definitely go back wherever you enjoy the podcast or on spiritcenteredbusiness.com, on the YouTube channel, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever we're listening or enjoy it usually, and go catch parts 1 and 2. We might repeat a little bit here and there. But I really think that this is an important story and an important testimony of redemption and God's grace and God's glory, perseverance of Audrey's just fortitude and her tenacity, her strength and her brilliance, and also her ability to connect to Father God in the kingdom realm. She inspires me every single day. We chat on WhatsApp almost every day, and every day, I don't know, she's just such a dear part of my life, and I want to share her story. And so she's not on camera anymore, and if you've heard parts 1 and 2, you know why, but let me just introduce that in case you're new. Um, she is dealing with a lot of physical pain from stage 4 cancer, and she has a crazy tumor that's developed, and she's on pain medication, but hanging in there. She is still influencing people, still impacting for the kingdom. And it's also very interesting, her spiritual journey and the emotional component of being in the situation that she's in and everything is just so enlightening, interesting, inspiring. So that's what's going on. And Audrey, of course, if you need to take a break at any time, we understand. We totally understand. And if you don't want to talk about something, that's okay. It's all good. I hope we can, talk about your childhood and the reason why some of your work in the squatter camps and those things in South Africa where you're living are so important. And then obviously, what you've been doing just like last week, is just incredible. And so obviously, welcome back to the show, Adri. I love you, and I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, it's been a while since I've been back. Health-wise, I've been struggling with breakthrough pain, and but even in that, God's so gracious to me. So thank you very much. I really hope, and I prayed this morning that um, it will help someone, to lift up their head and their hearts and to keep going and keep seeking God. And I really hope that whatever we speak about today will glorify God as well.
Absolutely. When we
Um,
were, go ahead.
yes, no, it's fine.
No,
You
I
can
was just
speak.
going to say when we were discussing what we were going to talk about, I know that the abuse that you went through and the rituals that they did and the experimentation and all of that crazy stuff is very difficult to talk about. And here's the reason why I think it's important, though, is because not only are there people going through it, there are people that are called to heal people who are coming out of that and healing the spiritual trauma as well as the emotional, mental, social, physical, all of that trauma. And I think that it's important for us to know what's really going on and how bad it could get. And it also it shines God's glory even that much brighter. So thank you for being vulnerable and willing to share.
Okay. I think I should start by saying this, that yes, it is extremely difficult for me to speak about it, to turn back and look at the darkness that was my life when I was a child, and the extreme abuse on all levels, sexual rituals, um, and within the family itself. And so anything that I say or speak about, in terms of mindset or what happens in the squatter camps, and that, I am not superior. It's because I've journeyed through so much change and healing that God has allowed me to do, and to help people that look like they're beyond help, that look like it's, from generation to generation, that's just where they stay, and they stay in the mindset, they stay in the abuse and the poverty. And you know it's been an incredible journey of healing. So looking back at things that happened and having to discuss that is quite sensitive, and uh, it's it still touches me, but not in the way of trauma, but because it was so extreme. So forgive me if I don't go into detail about it. Um, but one thing I can say is, in that, as a child, I had a lot of responsibility, more even than an adult, to take care of others. And one thing that I don't want is that that pain and that struggle will be in vain. That God can still use that. Yeah. Uh,
I
yeah.
hear your bird in the
It's
background there.
yeah.
He's your new
I
little
picked him up.
friend.
I picked him up last week. He was all frozen, and he was in a puddle of water. So now he wants to talk.
What kind of bird is he?
It's a blue striped budgie. I think some people call it a parakeet, and he's got quite the character.
Oh, and you saved even the birds, much less the kids, people.
Yes. So one thing, about the squatter camps is that it's absolutely a place of deprivation and desolation. And it's not a place where people can thrive. One thing is because of the mindset that it creates, because everyone around you go to a pit toilet. They don't have toilets, they've got outside toilets, and you might share it with 10 other families or even more. And the circumstances in a squatter camp is really severe. And I know that there are exceptions. I know that there are people in the squatter camps that can come out of them and thrive, but it is a very long, difficult journey. So if you work with children that comes from the squatter camps, you have to understand that and keep that in mind. So about 18 months ago, a child was referred to me and to help him basically with language studies and math. And he comes from circumstances like that, where there's 7 adults in one room, and then him, and later on another baby came. So, and the first day he came to me, obviously before he came, I knew it's going to be a challenge because he's not used to having indoor plumbing and toilets and stuff like that. So the first day he came to me, he basically broke the basin in the bathroom because, and I kind of expected it because these children all come with impulse control issues, and the only place that you cannot supervise them is in the bathroom. So the first thing they do is do damage to the bathroom. And so the journey with him was not as much about his education than it was about teaching him normal society, boundaries. You don't open up closets and fridges and break stuff of people, and privacy and that kind of thing. So that throughout the year, that was one of the things that was a challenge for him, because he's not used to that. He's not used to having food consistently every day. So when he does get a meal or a chance, he will either, just overeat or steal food. Also, he will come and he will have a shower here at our house, which he couldn't do that at home. So there's lots of challenges for children like that when they come into normal society, normal family, and we they have to learn, to do things that are socially acceptable. Regardless of all of that, we just loved him and embraced him and made jokes with him and tried to teach him in a way where, I mean, if someone break your basin in your bathroom, you kind of get frustrated with that. But because I understand where he's coming from, it's actually a teachable moment where you can really teach him and how to take responsibility and things like that. Then one day he came to me and he was in tears because at school they had to do like a short 1.5 minute presentation about cleaning your room and helping your mom with chores. That's absolutely not in his frame of reference. Absolutely not. And how I had to show him and teach him how to actually do those kind of things. And how he said to me, but this doesn't make sense to me. which I understand what he was saying, because he's never been exposed to that. The hygiene conditions are really bad in the squatter camps. You think it's water that's running down your feet or your shoes in a squatter camp, and it's not water, if you know what I mean. And I've had social workers, the specific social worker that the moment he stepped into the squatter camp, he ran back to the car and he sat in the car and he said, he's not working there. So the situation for children like that are quite severe. And for me, my main goal was helping him pass the year. He's grade 4. And it's heartbreaking to see that the foundation is not there, educational foundation. And encouraging him. So the biggest thing is not the math or the language studies, it's the mindset. Because he adopted, at his young age, he adopted that mindset. So I started to teach him how to speak and how to think and how to change his thoughts. And that is quite a process to go through with a child like that, because mindset is the biggest thing. And the mindset in a squatter camp, and again, there can be exceptions. It's very difficult. First of all, it's very dangerous to live there. But everyone's outside, because who wants to live in a, what we call a little hockey, which is just zinc that they put together with some wood, especially when it's hot. Everyone's outside, the children, everyone. And there's no boundaries. There's no, this is my garden, this is your garden. And so there's a lot of, people will steal stuff, and there's lots going on every day. And so for him, having that mindset of what the adults actually have is like, the government owes them, people owe them, everyone owes them. It's like, give me, give me, give me, but I don't take responsibility. And also a passiveness where education is not important. So if I fail today, so what? I don't need the language studies. I don't need to know math. And having that mindset of absolute poverty, like my grandfather and grandmother were in the squatter camp, so my mother and father were, and now I'm in squatter camp, and this is the way we talk, and this is the way we do things, and stealing from one another is normal. Swearing at the neighbors are normal. It's normal when there's a fire in the squatter camp. It's normal for people to get hurt. It's just another one. And there's no culture there of caring, of taking care of one another, of helping. Yeah. And one example, we were working in the squatter camp, and there was this family with an elderly man that I think there were 8 people in the family. And so they had one single mattress. Everyone slept on that, but the elderly man was very ill. So he was actually bedridden. So he was only sleeping on a blanket. So with our assessment, and the funds that we got, we bought him a bed and a mattress so that he can be taken care of and all of that. So the neighbor came to us, and she was extremely angry. She wanted a bed and a mattress, although she didn't need it, because we were giving one to him. And she said she's going to steal his bed from him because Why are we giving something to him and not to her? So for a child to grow up in that destructive environment every day, all day, it's never quiet at night. You don't know when the bullets are going to come through the sink house. It does something to that child. To it really traumatizes them, but it also makes them used to that kind of behavior. So the moment that you start to instill good words, encouragement, a love for education, a love for books, the change will come, but it's a very slow process. And this specific child that I'm working with now, it got so dangerous in his environment that we had to go to court, and we filed many complaints of child endangerment, and we had to go to court to get him into with foster parents so that he can be safe. He did go to his parents' house on weekends, but it was just very unsafe and he would just run from them. And eventually, after 18 months, he's now safe and he can get the help and the support that he needs. But it is a process to go through, and no one's fighting for these children. No one's picking up when they're not in school, or when they've not eaten, or when there was a knife fight at home or whatever. Because in the squatter camp itself, that's the norm. It happens every day.
So how do they get to school? Is the school near the squatter camp, or how does that happen?
In our area, they can walk to the school. In the winter, it's actually better if they're in a taxi, because we're in a high rainfall area, and it's very cold and very dark in the morning. But there's no motivation from the parents or even the people around them for them to go to school. There's no motivation. I mean, this specific child lost 2 years of school because his mother didn't want to send him, because she didn't want to wake up that early in the morning.
Wow.
So
Okay, so did you live in a squatter camp? Is that how you were, or did you get there after? What is your story about the squatter camp?
well, the thing is, I didn't grow up in a squatter camp, but I grew up with a lot of the same mindsets because of my trauma. And I think that was the thing for me to overcome, was the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up very traumatic, a lot of violence every day. Didn't go to school often, because of everything that was going on at home, because of all the isolation. And I didn't understand that it was my mindset that kept me from progressing. It was my mindset, even as an adult, that kept me from healing. So if God didn't come and love me, I would not have known. I would not have known another way. So my parents weren't poor, yet I went through a lot of trauma and violence and things. And that thing, I always call it slavery, because that's exactly what it was. And having to get, and the same with the children in the squatter camps, and having to heal enough to understand that I cannot have the mindset of slavery. And the mindset actually of poverty and of scarcity and of, you know, accepting those things as just normal, because it's not.
Mm.
That's why with this child, that it was my first priority, is getting him into a mindset of, this is what is normal. You need the education. It's very important. You're not going to get far in progressing in life if you don't have that. And you have to put some work into it. It's not going to disappear by itself.
Hmm. So you've shared some things with me about your childhood. Is it okay if I say them?
No,
Okay.
I thought about it and that, and it's just too sensitive for me at this
Okay.
stage.
Okay. All right.
Really speak about it, but it was consistent every day. The sexual abuse, the physical abuse. I was very isolated. I did not have a consistent education, and if it was just one person, you know, that abused, in a sense, you know, it's not right, but in a sense I could understand it. But if it's so systematic that it's the entire family, then you know, you grow up with this thing of, you are the problem, it's your fault. And God had to show me that it's not, that even though um, it is a whole group of people, a whole network of people that's doing this to you, it's still not okay. It's not, still not in God's plan.
So, were your parents, um, were your parents part of a society, like a cult kind of things, or were
Yes,
they?
yes, yes. They were part of a society, of a cult,
Mhm.
and they were quite high up, both of them, in it. And so for them, they didn't grow up like that, though. Although a lot of the family members were involved on both sides, they didn't really grow up like that. But they did um, engage with the occult almost every day. It was the ideology. It's what they believed, and that's the way I was treated.
And so, how many siblings do you have? I think we talked about this before.
Yes, I've got quite a few,
Hmm.
and in a society like that, there's a lot of half siblings.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's quite a few, and you know, when you go through trauma, you kind of think that you're the only one, but in that sense, all of us went through it. And even now, the adults, the children that are now adults, that chose to speak to me, because a lot of people in families like that, they don't speak up, because it's very hard stuff to talk about. The physical problems that they have, and the mental and health problems that they have, all comes from that. And even now, if I do speak up, they will try to silence me. And I'm not scared at all. I don't have any fear of them or whatever they can do to me. Um, so for anyone out there that's going through it, and for anyone that is helping a person that's going through that, just keep seeking God. Do not let go of what God has in store for you. Do not let go of asking God for wisdom for each and every situation, because He protects, He heals, he deliver. And in my life, it's like you said this morning, there's such a contrast from where I was up until where I'm now, where I've got so much support worldwide and in my own inner circle, and where I have been able for the past how many years to help children that are traumatized, not necessarily SRA, but children that are traumatized or in impossible situations, to help them get to safety and to help them to. And I couldn't have done it by myself. You really need people around you that know and that love you through it. And I would never have been able to do that, if God hasn't healed me.
Wow.
And
So,
even with you, it's so instrumental of you allowing me to speak about it, because I will speak one-to-one to people, because especially when they're in the same situation, and I will encourage them. And in our country, very limited resources for people like us, people that went through the same stuff. But if you ask God for strategy, then he just places people in your life. He just opens up the door. And nothing is impossible to heal. There's nothing God cannot do. There's nothing impossible for him. I've seen it through my life. I've even seen it in my diagnosis. And that's one thing I wanted to say. Whether it's SRA or whether it is, a cancer diagnosis and pain and whatever, I ask God, especially in the beginning when I was diagnosed, I asked God not why this happened to me, because the why is not going to change anything. I ask God that whatever I'm going through, that will help someone else to get through what they need to get through. That the pain and the challenges and the things that comes my way and the obstacles will not be lost to the enemy, because the enemy can make me depressed, or he can make me feel isolated, or he can do whatever. But God comes and he creates miracles in these challenges. He didn't give me cancer, but he creates space for all these miracles to happen. And that day, even before my emergency surgery, I said to God, in this, even like with the SRA and that, create the space for miracles, because I won't be able to do that. But and God has done that over and over and over again in these past few months. It's so amazing to people that have reconciled, people that have come to Christ because of my diagnosis. Um, uh, my neighbor who doesn't serve the Lord at all, she's an atheist, who came to me and said, wow, I listened to you because we met at the clinic one day when I went to get all my products, the medical clinic, and I was speaking about what I was going through and how God helped me and how he placed all these specialists on my path and these people that help and everyone that's praying. And she came to me and she said, today was the first day that I actually believed in a God when I listened to you. And after that, she sends me messages every day. She wants to know, what is God doing? How are you doing? Is there anything that I can do for you? And to me, that is that space that God is creating for a miracle.
wow. Wow. That is so good. Yeah, you are such an inspiration. So as long as we're talking about miracles and what God's doing, you've been working with the angels to do some things, and another thing that you said this morning is that your physical life has been just so up and down and not stable, but every time you turn your attention into the heavenly realms and see what God is doing, you said that is a stable place for you. Can you share more about that?
Yes, yes. Um, every time I go into the heavenlies, God is still the same. Every time I'm there, there's joy, there's consistency. It's not the physical side where I'm up and down and then the pain medicine is working and then it's not working or whatever, or all the changes that I'm experiencing in my body. And that gives me courage because I can go into the heavenlies and I know I'm going to get a strategy for the day. And it doesn't take away the pain, it doesn't take away the challenge, but it brings a frequency of life that I cannot have produced by myself. It brings something, it brings light that I can bring back to earth for the next day and the next day and the next challenge and the next challenge. Very difficult for me to go into hospital for a follow-up. So I spend a lot of time in the heavenlies before I go to hospital. Even just, I mean, all my follow-ups are like a whole day. So it's not like I'm going in and out. And in that, I can see how God is opening up the way for me in the hospital. And I mean, I'm not going to even start in terms of our government hospitals. It's appalling.
Well,
Uh,
speak a little
I,
bit about
I,
that because
yeah,
people in
I,
America don't understand.
the 22nd of February, I had breakthrough pain. So the government doctor ordered medicine for me for my breakthrough pain. I received that medicine the 6th of June. That is how ineffective our government health system is. And I am on palliative care. I'm stage 4. And they called me the 6th of June to say, listen, your medicine is here. And I said to my friend, I don't know if I should laugh about it or what I should do about it. But what did happen in this time was I have a stoma. So for the people out there that's got stoma products, it's very expensive. So I get my products. I've got a very small government grant for my products. So, and if they have it at medical clinic or not, you know, I will sit there the whole day and they might have or might not have. Anyway, so we receive products from this company that's got a tender with the government. It's a billion-dollar company. They send us reject products because we government, so who cares? So every second product that I get, I cannot use. So I later complained. I can't even tell you how many emails I've written to how many people, but God has favor because I send those emails with my angels. So the right people got the right emails. And this district doctor said to me that he's going to investigate this because I brought the products to him. I said to him, look at this. You are paying so much money for this tender, but this is the product that we get. Anyway, so he that whole investigation, and the rep from, or the representative from this company came and she spoke to me and she spoke to all the patients and that, and they found the same problem everywhere. And I actually, at our clinic, with her and the registered nurse, we went through all the products and I showed her, we went through all the boxes. And she said, well, this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable because the government pays millions for those products. So because of that, And because I complained that there's been no follow-up, none. Since I left the hospital, I had no follow-up, no stoma therapist that came to see me, not even in the hospital. There's nothing for people like me. You just have to figure it out yourself. So I laid a complaint for that as well. Not just a complaint, but a strategy as to how it can work in our area, because we've got almost 2,000 patients like that just in our area.
But can I stop you a minute? I want, because some people might not know what a stoma is. I mean, to figure
Okay.
this out by yourself, this is a big deal. Just, can you just describe what the stoma is?
A stoma is a opening in the colon that they put because you can't, your stoma doesn't work anymore, doesn't function anymore. Or like for me, there's still the obstruction of the tumor. So they call it a stoma loop, so that, and then they put a bag, you can put a bag over it. So you don't go to the toilet in a normal way.
Right. So
you have to go through everything, all the stomach contents go through the stoma bag.
So it's literally just coming out of the side of your abdomen.
Yes.
Instead of out the rectum.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's a specialized department that they don't access for us, you know. And you have to teach people how to use the products. You have to teach them about managing the skin around the stoma, because it can cause infection and all sorts of things like that. And none of that. You have to figure it out by yourself. And so we don't have anything like that. So I laid a complaint. Again, the emails ended up with the right people. And now they want me to speak at a commission of inquiry where the strategy, not just the complaints, because you can complain all day long, no one's going to listen to you. Where the strategy that I got from heaven, where I can say, but listen, how, with the limited resources that you guys say we have, can we not do this in our area as a pilot? And if that works, then, I mean, obviously they can use it throughout the country. And so the medical professionals that wants to help and that actually have the authority said it's an excellent plan if it's accepted. So there's going to be government officials and some medical people and so on. So I'm going to speak at this and present the case to them, because I'm not the only one. With the investigation, they actually realized that it's a systematic problem. Everyone is complaining about the same thing, but no one ever said anything. So, yeah. So that's an opportunity for me, to just to be an advocate, not just for myself, but for others as well.
So this is an example of you going into the heavenlies and getting the strategy from the Lord. Yes. And literally bringing it into the earth and writing the emails, having the favor of the Lord on it, that the emails would get to the right people, and then they would be doing the investigation, and now you're going to be speaking to the commission, so that the 2,000 people just in your area, will be able to have better care and better products and better delivery.
Yes. And I absolutely, trust God in it, because I know that strategy it's attainable. It's actually easy. It's easy to implement, and they just have to say yes. Because I do understand that the surgeon cannot, take your hand and help you through the whole process. But there are other people that are specialized in that, that's supposed to help us, but they're not doing it. So it's not really a question of the resources. It's just a question of implementing, that care at least. And we've got technology, so why aren't they using the technology? Yeah. So, and definitely, when I spoke to the representative of this company that provides the products and stuff, I said to her, "Is it really fair to us as government patients to have this kind of product, to get all the rejects?" And she was in tears that day. She just said she never realized, she just never realized that that is the case. So she will also be there, and there's a lot of support for this. But the people that needs to say yes, I'm just praying that God will touch them.
I don't think he would have given you the strategy and given you the journey of meeting everybody that you need to meet if it wouldn't. I'm just going to declare that
Yes.
it's going to work. And you are a culture shifter, and you changed the standard. You raised the entire standard of the medical community around this issue.
Yes, yes, I believe so. And it's just because of God. But in all of this, um, using my angels in that way to help me to achieve the things that I can't. That helps a lot.
What can you teach someone who is, wanting to get strategy from heaven? I mean, obviously this is spirit-centered business, so we go and get strategy from heaven to do things on the earth all the time, right? But someone might not be familiar with that. What can you share with them as far as how to do that, or what to expect, or another story of how it went for you?
I think sometimes we overcomplicate things in our minds. And for me, it's just going to the Father and saying, this is the problem. On earth, this is what I've tried and it doesn't work. Because that's usually, sometimes I try my own thing, try to sort this thing, and it's just not happening. Instead, actually, of going to the Father first. And then I will go to the Father and I will ask for wisdom, because the Bible say that we can ask for wisdom. And then wisdom will be given. And to then listen to what the Father is saying. A lot of things have happened supernaturally, but a lot of things, sometimes it's something small that we have to do. And to listen to the instructions of what the Father is saying. What is it that you need to do in this situation? And not to be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for wisdom. Don't be afraid to follow the instructions. And I usually don't really look for the results, because the results come with the process. So I don't know if that helped.
Yes, that does. And if someone is new to working with angels, how did you start? How did you start working with the angels?
Well, I needed a lot of help that people couldn't give me. I knew that there were situations and things within myself and within my life that I could not handle on my own. So I asked Jesus to give or to show me my angel or angels. And even if I don't see them or feel them, that I know that the scriptures say that God gives us angels to minister to us. And I started engaging with my angels out of faith. And I would speak to them and say, listen, God has given you to me. This is the problem. This is what I'm struggling with. I need help. And the help came. And it didn't always look like the way I think it should look. But God did send me help through angels. So now I have like I have a normal conversation with my angels. When I have to do certain tasks during the day, even, things that small, I speak to my angels and I ask for help. And I do see in the spirit, so I can see my angels, but not everyone does. And that's okay. Because in faith, if you ask for help, if you ask God to show you your angels or to send your angels to help you, they will come.
Oh, good. How old were you when you started asking your angels for help?
Well, the first time I saw an angel, I was very small because I saw the angel healing a dog. But I didn't really understand it until I came to serve the Lord. And that was when I was 16. And then I started seeing, how the angels are helping me or protecting me. And it grew from there. But it's something that just is, you know.
Was there
I
ever a
never
time? Oh, go ahead.
I never questioned it because I could see the results.
All right. Wow. Was there ever a time in your life when you weren't as connected to the Lord between 16 and now?
No, no, not at all. The reason for that is that, like I said this morning, regardless of how confusing my life was or how hurt I was, how much I cried out to the Lord, regardless of what happened in my life, the moment I turned my focus back on God, stability and order came. So I knew that that is where I need to turn. But if I keep focusing on all the confusion and the darkness and the evil and the everything that has happened to me, the moment my focus is there, then I get lost. But the moment I focus on what God wants, how He speaks to me, how He interacts with me, then things fall into order. It doesn't break apart. And that is what kept me. That consistency of who God is, of Him being the same every time, still loving, still protecting, um, even in my darkest moments, even in the cancer, even if there's pain, even if, you know, the people that I help fall back into their old ways. And it feels like all the work that you've put in is gone. I still know when I turn back to God, He's the God of potential. He's the God of reconciliation. He's the God that never, ever, ever leaves me.
Wow. So, what would you say to someone who is a coach or a counselor who is helping someone coming out of that really hard trauma or SRA? What would you say to them about working with the angels? how can they implement that so that they can get, obviously better help, angelic help, and better results for their clients?
I would say they first have to be comfortable with speaking to their own angels, because their own angels are going to help them as well. And they can ask the person that they are working with if they have encountered their own angels, so that there can be communication in heaven and connection. Yeah, it's
So would it be, I mean, I've obviously never experienced the SRA, but you would imagine that there's a lot of demonic activity and
yes,
a lot of
yes.
that presence. So would an SRA survivor or overcomer have seen their angels? Would that have been part of that spiritual mix, or would they have
Yes.
been totally shut out?
Well, I can't speak for someone else, but even though I went through everything I went through, I knew about the light. Even before I came to Christ, I knew about the light. I've seen it. I've seen the angels. I've seen the angel healing a dog that was dying, and I was still little. I at that time I haven't come to Christ. So you are very aware of light and darkness, and you are very aware of the entities. There's no confusion there, but it's the trauma and the fear that keep people from people in SRA from experiencing more of the light. It's that trauma, that fear, that conditioning. It's not that you don't know there's another side. But sometimes when I was a child, the dark side felt more powerful than what I've seen in the light because of all the trauma. But that's a lie. There's a lot of lies, when you go through that kind of thing. And yeah.
So, when you were working with your angels, I just had a thought and I lost it. Something that you said there, and I thought, oh, I'm going to ask about that. I just forgot.
The
Go ahead.
spirit world, someone going through SRA, is far more real than people think. That's why I'm
Oh,
saying, what's light and you know what's darkness. If you sit in church, or you go to the supermarket, or you just doing the normal things, you know what's light and dark. There's no other way to explain it, that you are far more in tune to the angels and what they are doing, and what's happening. So from my perspective, I've always known, about that, even before I came to Christ.
hmm.
I only really experienced the power of Christ when I walked over into the light, when I was actually literally guided by Jesus. I came to Christ without anyone around me. I felt his love, which is something I've never felt before. I've only felt physical hurt and trauma and confusion and distrust and all the bad things. But when Christ came to me when I was 16, the love that he had and the light that he had, I recognized the light first. And the love that he had that surrounded me made the difference. And I walked over to him. And the moment I walked over to him, that decision changed my life, obviously. So you are aware of it. It's not just darkness. You know, God doesn't just leave people in SRA. He doesn't do that. He's too compassionate and too loving to just leave you there without any hope. Because those that don't have hope, they're gonna die. And I've seen many people die. Um, so if there's no hope, you're not gonna live. You're not gonna live until you're 16 and come to Christ. You're not gonna live. But this God has implanted something inside us that shows us the truth when we see it.
Wow. So a lot of children die in the SRA.
Yes, 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 a lot.
I've
That's like a
actually
normal occurrence.
I've actually heard that part of the trauma is that they literally kill them and then bring them back to life.
Yes,
Like,
there's a lot of near-death experiences.
oh, that's horrible.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember what I was going to ask you. Did you have something more to say there?
No, no, no.
Okay. I remember what I was going to ask you. You said that there was conditioning. And so I was going to ask, did you have mind control? Was there
Yes,
programming involved in your experience?
yes. But it's interesting how strong your will is. I always said one of the strongest weapons that God has given us is our will. Because even as a child, even with the conditioning, the constant conditioning, to be something different, to do something different, to do something that goes so much against what God has implanted inside of you. Um, there was that thing where I actually made an inner vow when I was 4.5, 5 years old, where I said, I do not believe what these people are doing is right. As a young child, I will never be like that. I will never do what they're doing. So there was always this resistance against this conditioning, and it doesn't matter how many times I repeated it, it doesn't matter how many traumas there were. I clearly remember that one moment where, even with all the fear and all the things that was going on, I said, this is not my life. This is not what I was born for. I wasn't created for this.
Wow. So the Lord was even protecting you back then. Did they
Mhm.
use drugs on you?
Yes. They use all kinds of means to get you to submit and to do what they want you to do and to eventually become what they want you to become.
Hmm. Well, I can definitely see why you don't like to take the pain medication now. I mean, you've said that to me, and I understand. I'm not all about the pharmaceuticals and here just take a pill. I'm totally against that as well. But sometimes you just need it, right? And so
Yes.
that must be even doubly hard because of that past um someone trying to make you do something or be something that you're not and using the drugs. It just puts another layer of,
Yes.
disgust
Yes.
and
They love
repulsion.
building layers. That is a strategy that they use over and over, is the layers. And with that, the confusion and the trauma and that. And I just want to encourage the people that's healing. You are going, when you heal and some layers are getting exposed, you're going to go through some of that stuff, but there's an end to it. God puts an end to the trauma. He puts an end to that pain. So don't give up in the middle of it, because you go through so many layers. It's like, am I ever going to get through this? Am I ever going to function normally? Am I ever going to have a normal conversation, go out with friends, and not have all this stuff? And if you don't give up in the middle of it, and because of it, and it can make you, even the counselors can get extremely discouraged, because you're dealing with this thing and you're dealing with this thing, and it feels like it's not breaking, but it's just another layer. And you get to a point where you're so healed that you can help other people, and where you can, although it's painful, look back and say, I'm not that anymore. I'm not there anymore. God's protecting me. I'm hearing from God. I'm hearing strategy from God. And some of it happens supernaturally, but a lot of it's really hard work.
Wow. Well, I think that is a great place to end this, because that's a great word of encouragement for all of us. You know, we may not have had the same level of trauma and mind control and conditioning and all of that other stuff, but we still heal in layers. And I know that I'll just speak for myself. I've been healing in layers, and you think you're done, or you think it's never going to end, or when I say you think you're done, and then there's more, and then there's more, and then there's more. And so that's when there's very much a spirit of hope deferred. And so what Adri just said is, there is healing, and if she can do it, anyone can do it. And if I can do it,
Yes,
anyone can do it.
yes, that's very true. And to be very mindful of what we are thinking. And God has renewed my mindset in many ways, in many times. But it's very important to be careful what we're thinking, because what we think and say eventually becomes alive. So yeah, I really hope that helps.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, mindset is incredibly important. In fact, I think it's everything. Like you said, those who lost hope died. And I
Yes,
mean, that's right out of the Bible, right? For
yes,
lack of vision, the people perish. If you don't have a
yes.
vision for a brighter future, you know, that's so good. And you've also mentioned that you've grown so much emotionally and spiritually.
Mhm.
And I think that it's all because of the mindset. We don't have any growth unless we believe for it, right?
Yes. And when I got out of theater that first week, the doctor said to me, I don't expect you to live another 3 weeks, and I didn't expect you to get through the surgery. And a few months later, I'm still here. So it's only God that can decide when you live, when you die, when you live and when you die. He decides, not you, not the doctors, not anyone else. God decides. And if there's still a mandate on your life, you will continue until that mandate is fulfilled.
That's so good, because we were just talking about Adri is part of the ecclesia, the business ecclesia as well, and we were just talking about our mantles and mandates in the last meeting, and yeah, that's absolutely true. If you're still under a mandate to move on, and you've got the mantle of authority to do it, then yeah, you're going to be here. You're going to be you're going to be fulfilling your destiny.
Yeah, I'd
That's
rather
good.
be here in joy and in love, in God's love and joy, than that's what I said to myself, than dragging my feet. Like, oh, I'm gonna die, because my body is failing. But God will keep me until the day that He wants to take me back.
Mhm. So good. And And I'm going to be very selfish here, but I hope that it's a long, long time from now.
I love you, my friend.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you so much, Adri. Well, I look forward to hearing the comments and everything of anyone who's listening to this or wherever you're watching the show. Please do comment. And also, we've mentioned this before, that her product that she uses for the stoma are very expensive, but also the nutrition products, because she can't eat like normal people eat, obviously, if she don't have part of your colon and it's, not functioning the way it's supposed to. So the nutrition products are also quite expensive. So if you would care to give a love offering, a trade into Adri continuing to bring heaven to earth and create the changes like she's doing in the medical profession, then you can donate on spiritcenteredbusiness.com. There is a give button over there, and just you can select the women of South Africa, because it all goes to Adri. We figured out a way. She's got some blessed friends who figured out a way to get the money to her, which was a little bit of a challenge in the beginning, because you can't just, send a PayPal or whatever. So we have a way to do that. If you would care to give into Adri and help support getting the nutritional products that she needs. We found a patch that she can use, and then she has a special smoothie that she gets. But it's all quite expensive, and there's other expenses, obviously. So go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com over there, and we will be sure to get the finances to her. And we so appreciate you supporting her. And if there's any good ground that you feel like sowing into, Adri and what she's doing is very fertile ground. The Lord is giving her strategy even as she's, laying in bed. So she's doing the Lord's work. So we appreciate that. And share this with your friends. We want to beat the algorithm and get this message out to people. If there's anyone who's in counseling for SRA people, or anyone who is coming out of SRA, I mean, this is a big deal. But even just the encouragement for business owners who want to operate from heaven, the strategy of working with the angels and pulling that down is important. So share this with your friends. So Adri, once again, I so appreciate you, and I appreciate your time and willingness to take a pain medication so that you can do this interview with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Until next time, stay spirit-centered. Peace out. Well, you guys, guess what? All through the show, Adri was talking about the miracles that happened. Well, she just WhatsApped me. It's a couple hours after we filmed that. And she said she just found out that there was absolutely no internet service in her whole area, in the region. Nobody had internet. And yet she and I did the whole show and there was no signal drop or anything. So another yay God. Woohoo!
Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles, and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.